He's also the producer of the monthly storytelling show, So What Happened Was, and I'm thrilled to have him here for the very first time. Please give a warm welcome to Asher Novek.
Shalom. So I experienced the full range, I think, of human emotion one night at the Brooklyn Museum. So I have a tattoo. Let's just address this now. So I have a tattoo, and I'm very aware that it's not okay as a Jew to have a tattoo. It's like it's not just one of those like on the Sabbath you're not supposed to use electricity. It's like a law. There's like laws, like Moses laws, that say you really shouldn't have tattoos. So for the goys in the audience, there's an actual law that says you're not supposed to defame your body because you are just borrowing your body from God. So when I return my body to God, he's going to look at my arm and be like, Ash, what the hell did you do to this body that I lent you? And the irony of having a tattoo in Hebrew is not lost on me. I'm aware of this. And I get a lot of interesting reactions. When I told my mom that I was getting the tattoo, it wasn't a surprise. I didn't like drop a bomb or anything. Her first question was, why? Just why? Like, why? So what it says, and it says it in Hebrew, so I'll translate for you. It says, all you need in life is someone to talk to, someone to go to the movies with, and someone to be happy with. Thank you. It's something my grandfather used to tell me, and it stuck with me. My grandfather was Israeli. He was a very straightforward man. He worked in construction, and he used to say that he basically, what his job was he would dig dirt, you'd dig a hole, and then you would move the dirt, and then you would dig another hole, and then you would put the dirt in the hole. And then that's how he started a construction company. The first time he told this to me, I was in middle school. I was down visiting him, and I was on the computer. I was chatting with a friend of mine on AOL Instant Messenger, and I was chatting with someone about a girl, and I for the life of me I don't remember if it was Angela or Jillian, about one of them not liking me. I mean, neither of them liked me, but I don't remember which one at the time. And my grandfather came in. He asked me what was going on, and I said something. I was 13, so like my world was caving in, right? And he told this to me, and it over the years it provides a lot of clarity, and it helps ground you, right? And just like remember that this is really all you need. And every time he told me, I always imagined that he was referencing my grandmother when he would tell it to me. And I never got to know my grandmother. She passed away when my mom was young. And my grandfather remarried another woman named Pearl. And it's important to note that even as I was growing up, it was always said that we're going to go visit Saba, which is the Hebrew word for grandfather, and Pearl. So it was very clear that this woman is not part of our family. And she's just not a very good person. And even as a kid, I always just associated her with Cruella de Vil. She just always had, like, she looks kind of like her. Like, she always just kind of looked like there was a bad smell and she was angry about it. And she was constantly trying to kidnap puppies. So there was just, and heaven forbid we ever talk about the world before Pearl. So I never got to hear any stories about my grandmother. Except this one time I was down visiting my grandfather by myself, and Pearl was gone for a couple days, kidnapping Dalmatians or something. I don't know. But I was having dinner with my grandfather, and I said, "Can you tell me about Miriam? Can you tell me about my girl? Because I don't know anything about her." And the light in his eyes that he was finally able, like he was talking about her, and they moved here from Israel, and she was part of protest movements and sit-ins against the British while they were occupying Palestine. And when they moved here, he said the best attribute that he loved about her the most was her ability to make friends with anybody. And she was just the friendliest person to strangers. He said they could be in the grocery store, and that by the time they finished checking out, they could be inviting the people behind them in line over for dinner that night. Like, that's just the kind of person she was. And that resonates a lot with me. And it's not too surprising that a Jewish guy from two parents who grew up in New York is like, I'm an outgoing person and a friendly person, but that really, like, that attribute rings true to me. And it translates a lot into what I work. I do a lot of community organizing and a lot of political work, and basically my job is to make friends with strangers. And more often than not, just sort of get yelled at professionally. And that's really, knowing that that comes from Miriam means a lot to me. So I'm at the Brooklyn Museum one night, and I'm organizing this. There's a process called participatory budgeting, which is too long to explain, but basically you get people to vote for public projects. And so I'm there, and the Brooklyn Museum, especially on a weekend, is a perfect cross-section of all of humanity. You have every kind of person walking in and out of the halls. And so I'm sitting at a table, we're getting people to come vote for this thing, and this woman comes over, and she's middle-aged, and I'm explaining what the process is, and signing her in, and she asks me what it says on my arm, and I tell her. And she pauses, and she starts to she sobs a little bit. And I say, is everything okay? Like, what's wrong? And she says, well, earlier that year, one of her friends' husbands passed away, and she said that there was just the sentiment of what my grandfather was saying just really rang true to their relationship and to their love. And the more she started talking about it, she started crying. And there was this guy who was sitting next to her who got up and hugged her. And we just shared this beautiful moment of compassion and love. And within the next hour, there's an old woman with a cane who she's waving her cane at me while walking up to the table, already mid-complaint. Now, I'm very used to getting canes waved at me, so I already recognize this from afar. And so she's just complaining about whatever it is she's complaining about. And she comes up to me, and at a certain point, she physically stops. Her eyes are drawn to my arm, and she stops, and she's... And she goes back to complaining and waving her cane about whatever, and then at another point, she just looks at it again, and just... She finishes up her complaint, and she says, all right, well, she waves her cane at my arm. Says, what does it say? Tell me what it says. And I tell her, it says, all you need in life is someone to talk to, go to the movies with, be happy with. It's something my grandfather told me. It always really stuck with me. She goes, that's it? Yeah, that's just what it says. She says, so it doesn't matter what she believes in, and she doesn't matter if she believes in God or what politics. It only matters if you watch TV and screw. And then she slams her cane on the table and walks away. And I feel like that's actually it encompasses everything that my grandfather and my grandmother were all about. That to have all of the emotions packed into every single day, whether it's wonderful and beautiful or just whatever that other woman is. But I'm reminded to live all of that every single day, and that's why I have this tattoo. Thank you.
Yum's the word